The data is in. It's been a month officially as of today for this new presidential term. And what the data says, sort of broadly, bottom line, is that the country kind of hates this guy. I shouldn't say hate. It's not the right word. It's not a nice word. Maybe it's can't stand him. Or maybe I shouldn't characterize it at all. I'll show you the numbers. I will say we probably should have seen this coming. I didn't necessarily believe that it was coming this far, this fast, but, right out of the gate, Gallup did polling just after the inauguration. They did their first poll on public opinion of Trump in this second term, starting immediately after the inauguration. Literally, they had their first poll in the field the first full day Trump was in office, the day after he was sworn in. That is the definition of the honeymoon period, right? That's when you are at your high watermark in terms of what people are expecting from you and hoping for from you. But in that first Gallup poll of this presidential term, sort of shockingly, Trump was already underwater. In his first week in office, more Americans disapproved of him than approved of him. I mean, only by 1 point, but still, that's unheard of. That's a more than unusual thing in presidential polling. Gallup, in fact, said at the time that in the 70-plus years they have been doing presidential polling, Donald Trump is the only president for whom his approval ratings were underwater right at the start of his term in office, meaning more people disliked him than liked him. So in that first week Gallup poll, Trump was underwater, 47 approving, 48% disapproving. So that means he was coming in at -1. And like I said, that was something we haven't seen with any other president. And to me, actually, it was shocking enough that I didn't think it would stand. I thought that would be sort of an outlier. But now look at this. Gallup just did its follow-up poll, now 1 month into Trump being back in office, and his numbers have gotten worse. He's not -1 anymore. Now he's -6. Which makes him, at this point in his term, not only the most disliked and unpopular president in 70-plus years of Gallup polling, Gallup says it actually puts him 15 points below the average polling for presidents. Again, over the last 72 years in which they have been doing this polling. At this point in a presidential term, 1 month in, the average is 15 points higher than where Trump is right now. Nobody has ever started off a presidential term this poorly in the eyes of the American people. I mean, all presidents are above water at this point in their presidencies, right out of the gate. Trump's the only one. Trump was underwater with the American public from day one, and since then, he's been sinking like a cinder block in an ocean trench. I did not know to expect that. To be fair, part of the reason I'd expected that Gallup number might go up and not down is because Gallup's not the only game in town. There were other national, well-regarded quality polls that came out right at the start of Trump's term that did show him in positive territory. Not big positive territory, but still positive. Like, for example, the Quinnipiac poll, which came out in late January, right after Trump was sworn in. It showed Trump doing okay. I mean, not great. But in that poll, he was above water. He was +3. But now, though, again, 1 month in, that same poll, Quinnipiac, it's flipped. He has gone from +3 in his first week in office to -4 now. That is a quick turnaround for a poll that initially looked okay for him less than a month ago. It looked okay for him. Now it looks terrible for him. Why is that? Well, it's because Trump's been doing stuff. And what the data shows is that almost every single thing he has done is soundly and clearly, and in some cases, wildly unpopular with the American people. Again, just look at that Quinnipiac poll that shows Trump underwater right now. More Americans disapproving of him than approving of him, right? He was +3 right after he got sworn in. Now he's -4. You can see in the internals of that poll a little bit about what's driving that. Do you approve of Trump's handling of foreign policy? No. Do you approve of Trump's handling of trade? No. Do you approve of Trump's handling of the federal workforce? No. Do you approve of Trump's handling of the Russia-Ukraine conflict? No. Do you approve of Trump's handling of the Israel-Hamas conflict? No, 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 no. Do you approve of Trump's handling of the economy? No. No, the American public does not approve of his handling of the economy. And stick a pin in that one, because that one's interesting for a number of reasons, and we will come back to that. But you take a look at the broad areas of responsibility a U.S. president has. And on all these broad points, the American public just says, no, Donald Trump, we do not like the way you are handling any of these issues. And then when you drill down, not just to, you drill down from the broad categories of things to instead the stuff he wants you to focus on, the very specific things he's done, his signature specific issues and his signature gambits thus far since he's been in office, the stuff that he thinks makes him look great. Well, those things are even worse than the broad categories. On those things, the stuff he's doing is catastrophically unpopular. I mean, look at this. This is from the same poll. Do you like Donald Trump's genius idea for Gaza? By a 40-point margin, the American people are against Trump on that. How about DEI, which they've tried to turn into a slur? Do you think policies focused on increasing diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace are a good thing? The American people say, yes, actually. Yes, actually, we do think that's a good thing. By a 15-point margin, Americans are for that. How about tariffs? Donald Trump's favorite thing, right? Do you think Donald Trump's tariffs will help the U.S. economy or hurt it? By an 11-point margin, the American people say his tariffs will hurt the American economy, not help. How about Vladimir Putin? All right, this is one of the most important things that Trump has done since being back in office. You know, Trump's sitting there in the Oval Office telling reporters, yes, I trust Vladimir Putin, as he throws out 70-plus years of our post-World War II alliances and decides that now we're going to be allied against Europe and with Russia, all because he trusts Putin so much. Well, Quinnipiac polled on that specifically. Quote, do you think the United States should trust Russian President Vladimir Putin or not? 81% of the American public says not. Not. But Trump does. The same national polling shows the American public do not approve of Elon Musk. Individually, Elon Musk's approval is minus 12. But everybody else in his government is underwater. The American public has apparently seen enough already to be against, to be disapproving more than approving of not just Elon Musk by a mile, but Trump as well. And also J.D. Vance is underwater, and Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the brainworm podcast guy who's now U.S. Health Secretary, and Tulsi Gabbard, who really is the Director of National Intelligence, believe it or not, and Kash Patel, who was confirmed today as FBI Director. All of them are underwater in the new polling. The American public does not like any of them. Not a single one of them is above water. Nobody who they polled on is above water in the Trump administration. And it's not just Quinnipiac. Look at the polling on Elon Musk in the new CNN poll that's out today. By a 2-to-1 margin, Elon Musk having this prominent role in the administration is seen by the American people as a bad thing. 2-to-1 against his prominent role in the administration. In the new Washington Post poll, which we're going to talk about in a second, they've got an Elon Musk question as well. Are you concerned about Elon Musk in his government role gaining access to your personal data and information? The American people say, yes, yes, we are concerned about that, by a 29-point margin. Elon Musk being somehow empowered to shut down federal government programs, is that a good thing or a bad thing? By a 2-to-1 margin, the American people think that is a bad thing. In today's CNN poll, overall, Donald Trump is underwater by 5 points. In the new poll from Pew Research, Donald Trump is underwater by 4 points. In the new poll from Reuters, Donald Trump is underwater by 7 points. In the new poll from the Washington Post and Ipsos that's out today, they've got Trump underwater by 8 points. All of this absolutely historically unprecedented. No president has ever come out of the gate with numbers like this ever before. And it is across the board. But, you know, on that Washington Post one, look at this. Look deeper into that. They've got a -8. Look, the proportion of Americans who are strongly for him is 27%. The proportion of Americans who are strongly against him is 37%. So yes, your perception, your anecdotal perception is correct. He does have a small, fervent base of support, but the base of fervent opposition to him is much larger, like 10 points larger. The same poll also asked, do you want the next Congress, the Congress that's going to be elected next year in the midterms, do you want that Congress to be controlled by the Democrats, to act as a check on Trump, or do you want it to be controlled by the Republicans to support Trump's agenda? By a 13-point margin, the country says, Democrats, please. We would prefer the Democrats to be in charge in the next Congress. In the Washington Post polling, do you support Trump banning transgender people from the military? No, by 11 points. Do you support Trump laying off large numbers of federal workers? No, by 19 points. Do you support Trump shutting down USAID? No, by 21 points. Do you support Trump pardoning people convicted of violent crimes related to the attack on the Capitol on January 6, 2021? Do you support Trump's pardon of people convicted of violent crimes on J6? What do you think the number is going to be on that one? The answer obviously is no. The American people do not support that. But the proportion of Americans who say that is 83%. That was his first major act upon taking office as president. 83% of the public disagrees with it. That's a bad plan in politics.